Once we got the first call, I really didn't think this was going to be a 6-day fire.
The elements are earth, fire, water, and air. They give us life, except when they are at war with each other and then they conspire against us to destroy. In the Cape of Good Hope, January 2000 saw the millennium baptized by 6 days of fire. Our documentary will examine the cause, effect, and result of a blaze that seemed at times to have its own life, animate, almost intelligent, cruel to the last ember. The Peninsula fires of January 2000 were the worst in living memory. 9,000 hectares of lush green landscape were swept up as smoke. The loss was massive, leaving many lives stripped to the bone.
It was absolutely dreadful. It happened so quickly.
We just ran down the mountain.
Then the smoke cleared momentarily and I looked down and there was just a heap of ash with the twisted roof sheets on top. And I just couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, in such a short time.
It was this whole bank of flames basically that encircled the car, and I thought for a moment I was in hell.
So we were horrified. We were really horrified.
You're really helpless. You're angry, you're sad. You feel for your family, for your kids. You feel for their things, and there's just many emotions that go through you.
We saved the 2 dogs, but the cat went missing. We know he was out of the house when I got there. The neighbours down the road said they saw a couple of cats rushing down the road. So we're hoping that he's in the bush or adopted somebody else. But we put food here and water every day, just in case he comes back.
The Inferno's origins probably lie in minor acts of carelessness, at Silvermine and on Red Hill. Powered by high, dry winds, the fire ripped through native fynbos and alien bush.
Yeah, hundreds of fires have started in this settlement. It's quite usual for fires to start nearly every weekend. And in fact, one weekend there's been, the record call out was 27 fires in one weekend. We always used to get quite good response before because there's a fire lookout point on the top of that hill over there. And they usually used to pick up the fires even before we did, and often when we phoned to say there's a fire in the settlement, they'd say we already know about it, we're on our way. But this year, for some reason, the lookout was taken off that hill. The SPM was offered the facility to put their own lookout there, but they declined to take it up. So when we phoned this time, we didn't get anything like the response we were used to before. And I think that's part of the reason why it took such a long time for the fire engines to come and put this out.
The Cape burns every year, but never like this. Our record of the 6 days of fire examines the response. Lessons from the past were often not enough. The fire shot through all the cracks in systems thought to be tried, tested, and up to the challenge.
Well, coordination would infer that there was coordination. There wasn't a lot of coordination. A lot of people came to volunteer, and they clogged up the roads.
If I had to look at it from our point of view on the ground, a number of things stick out, and that is that, first of all, Metro were the first to ask us to join them and to help out, and their radio communications were excellent. They work on VHF. The firefighting department vehicles all work on UHF, which basically means that the firefighting department and Metro, who's supposed to be working together, unfortunately can't because they don't even have a common radio frequency.
Yes, it did then highlight that right in the start there was possibly a lack of coordination in the establishment of immediate joint operations commands. Yes, it did highlight that some of the organizations were working on multi-frequency channels, or they were working on different radio nets, which is a problem. That the amalgamation of the local authorities in the last couple of years has been a tremendously difficult process, and issues like disaster management have not been fully addressed. So On the one hand, yes, one can say that there were some problems that are highlighted, but I think it is that we were absolutely blessed in that there was such a little amount of damage that it isn't going to be as acrimonious as what it could be, and that I'm sure that the Commission of Inquiry that the Premier has now called will highlight those shortcomings so that they can be addressed for any future disasters.
On the seventh day, the fire died. In many places there was nothing left to burn. With the last smoke came the realization of another threat. No roots anchor the steep slopes. When winter rains come, the earth will move in killer mudslides. Disaster will follow disaster. Cost will heap on cost.
Our officials worked it out that it was probably 10.5 million rand just to combat mudsliding and flood damage.
We've realized that there is a major risk now that we've had such a big fire. It's probably the biggest fire in living memory for the Cape. So we are looking at all the areas that might be at risk. We've investigated every single area and have categorized those areas into major risks, medium risk and minimum risk.
But the fire brings its benefits as well. Fire is part of the life of the fynbos. Death by flame followed by regrowth is its natural cycle.
Fynbos has actually evolved with fire as one of the major forces that have shaped it. And indeed, I'd be so bold as to say that without fire there would be no fynbos. And we can see this in a number of factors. For example, this landscape around here, we might see this as a charred and desolate, dead landscape. But actually at the moment, right now, things are happening. Seeds are germinating, plants are sprouting. A whole new cycle is being initiated.
The fynbos emerges triumphant out of the dead landscape, reclaiming the land with the help of humankind. We will tell the story of vital initiatives by national and local government in partnership with business, which root out the dangerous aliens and restore the fynbos. Ukuvuka, Operation Firestop, developed out of the Working for Water program. Both aim to restore the natural order.
So we chose the Xhosa word for arise or awake, and that is Ukuvuka. And that is now to ensure that with the public support, landowner support, private sector support, and government from national, provincial to local, we deal with this threat here once and for all. We will recruit over 2,000 previously unemployed people into special teams to help eradicate the alien vegetation along the lines that the Working for Water program has been waging such a campaign over the 5 years.
The idea is a 4-year partnership. We are actually in partnership with central government, provincial government, and the metropolitan local councils, ourselves in Cape Town specifically. And then we have businesses on board also. We've got Santam with us, we've got Total, and we've got independent newspapers. They are our financiers actually, and the people who promised to finance this project. And that is why we've got them all on board. And the minister last week on Friday has now announced a board to run this Ukuvuka campaign.
Cape of Fire will be a great deal more than a plain history of the fires. Our documentary will examine the need to find a true balance between the worlds of man and nature in the finite landscape of the Cape, where the pressures of urban development increase by the day. Finally, we will fully reflect the human side. Many people played their part in 6 days of high drama. They risked their lives to make others safe, and this will be their story. We would do well to listen to them. Their fear is that the fiery summer of 2000 may soon prove to have been merely the precursor of greater fires to come. The message is written on the wall of fire. Do we live and learn, or do we burn?